Welcome to UI5ers Live and get ready for another episode filled with exciting topics. So first up, we have Holger Schäfer from the UI5 community. He will be showcasing his VitePress quickstart template built with UI5 Web Components. So hello and welcome, Holger.
Hi, Margaret. Hi, and hello to the community.
Well, following that, we have the duo of Dominik Stork and Christian Voshage from the SAP UI5 Flexibility team. They will be sharing the latest innovations in SAP UI5 Flexibility, with a focus on versioning and content-based adaptations. So, hello, Christian. Say hello.
Hi, so sorry, unmuting is always a good thing to do.
Definitely, good test right now. And then hello, Dominik.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, and of course we have our familiar faces, Stefan Beck.
Hi, all.
Peter Müsig.
Hi. Oh, the balloons don't come good.
And Andreas Kunz.
Hi, hello everyone.
Yeah, and I'm Margot Wolny, your host for today's session. Yeah, so without further delay, let's dive right into today's topic. Over to you, Holger.
Thanks, Margaret. I was asked from someone also from the community if I would like to share something from the documentation tool we are using for our OData side. And I thought to add something around this stuff. I created a nice repo, and that's what I will show in the next 15 minutes so far. So later on, you will get the link to the public available repo. And it's generally as easy as this. You can just clone the repo. As regularly, you need the npm install, and you just need to run the dev script so far. And then finally, the VitePress dev server will be running for you. So I will now put everything here internally in the VS Code so that we do not have to switch between browser and VS Code because I have a big screen and that would be not so helpful for the audience. So what we will get is, maybe someone knows this, I created a small VitePress template for us. So, and besides the stuff that's coming with VitePress, there's something missing. So that's the reason why I created this quick start solution so that we can have a look at this topic so far. VitePress is a view-based documentation template site, and it's used also by SAP in some areas. You will get a nice starting page with a hero agent. For me, one of the main reasons, it was one of the first with a light and dark mode switcher. So far now I've integrated the UI5 water theme for the light mode and the UI5 blossom orange color theme for the fire mode. So far you will get automatically a full text search on top of the stuff you have documented. And the nice stuff about VitePress or also other tools is you can still use markdown files, and it will generate a complete site for you with all of the topics so far. So that's generally how it looks so far. You can organize some navigations on top of it. You will have the left side navigation, and on the right side, if the screen is big enough, you will see the talk mode or table of contents on the side. So what you got is the VitePress stuff will do a server-side static site generation for you. So that means you have some kind of markdown. It handles all the nice details for you to generating HTML files from your markdown, applying a color scheme and all this stuff. But something in VitePress itself is missing, especially if you want to work with UI5 or other topics. So I added also some features like an image zoomer. So if you have some kind of images, you will also have the possibility even for diagrams, so that you have always the possibility to zoom these things. And besides the regular stuff that it's coming with the template things, you will see these are mainly the things I added to the regular VitePress, so that we have full integration of UI5 Web Components. You have full integration of Tailwind CSS. We'll expand it later on a little bit. And also what is quite helpful for me is planned UML, where you can create text or diagrams from based on text files so far. I've also put in some alternatives for you, because if you're more familiar with React, maybe Dokusaur is something more useful for you, but also material for MKDocs as used by the UI5 tooling. For me, it was problematic because there is no multi-language support, and also some familiar places where this is used so far. We did it so far. We installed the system. We have mainly 4 scripts that we can work with this stuff. One is we have to start a dev server. You can test everything locally. You have the build system, so it generates a folder site for you that it's containing the static site that's finally rendered. You have also the possibility to trigger a preview service on top of the site folder, but mainly everything is working like in the dev mode, and you mostly do not need it. And for our situation, I've created all the files necessary so that we can deploy it to the BTP cloud file at the end. So it can be automatically be deployed to the Cloud Foundry, and it's just using a static file build pack. So it will run with at least 32 megabytes of memory, because Cloud Foundry you have to take care on the costs for anything else. But even if you want to share it on other solutions, you can go the regular way and use other platforms like JIT or whatever if you want to deploy it the standard way so far. The nice stuff about the VitePress template is everything is based on Vite and Vue. So inside your Markdown, because besides the classic documentation, you can just use this kind of text, and then you have your expressions and can inline use Vue to calculate things or whatever. But the more useful use case is here, you have the possibility to create so-called single file components, where everything is bundled into one place. And Vue offers 2 kind of API styles, the options API and the compositions API. It looks a little bit different. This is more the programmatic way, but it's more useful if you start to build large applications for the stuff using it in a Doku side. I mostly use the options API, but it's more quite familiar if you're coming from other libraries and these things. And then you can use this stuff nicely inside your Markdown file directly, or you can register the component globally, and then at the end you have the possibility just using this component at multiple places. This is the main reason so far, because if you have this documentation side, mostly maybe you have static things in your Markdown files, but maybe you want to also offer something more dynamically, things like here the to-do list. So this is the example from the UI5 Web Components functionality. You can directly use this functionality and integrate it into your Markdown file. So everything around this stuff is then Markdown, but then you load your component. And there was some part that was a little bit, they need some fixing, because if you want to switch the theme, it's UI5 out of the box does not recognize this stuff, but here there is a nice mixing coming with the solution. So if you create a custom single file component, you can just include the mixin and inside your UI5. And if you attach it to your application, the mixin will take care that if you switch the outer theme so far, that your UI5 Web Component control will take care on this and apply all this stuff directly to it. Besides UI5 Web Components, there's a deep integration of Tailwind CSS. Tailwind helps you to nicely integrate the things that's maybe missing for UI5 Web Components. Generally, you do not have a layout engine so far. And what you can get here is, let me give an example. We can do it directly on the documentation side.
Holger, quickly, this was also intended that the layouting was more the decision on the one who was using the web components, that he can decide for one, and it was not built in, and then you can decide for the best suited for you. Yeah.
But anyhow, if you start and doing things on this, you maybe run into such a situation where you think, okay, how should I handle this stuff here? And the nice stuff about Tailwind is it offers you, because you're working in most of the time in Markdown, And then, for example, we'll see there, we can also get a code completion under the hood. It's also here documented. There are multiple extensions coming with this project. And if you add it to your VS Code, you will get the support for this kind of design theming system under the hood from the Tailwind stuff. Even for the Tailwind, I've created some design systems concerning the fire and water theme, so you can justify the text fire stuff. And finally, you will get this thing here, that this one will be looking exactly this way. And under the hood, it's a post plugin. It generates the corresponding CSS styles, just the necessary ones, and then will be finally built and pushed into the project so far. So you do not have to struggle with CSS. You can just use this developer style of using these classes. And then that's it, and you can use it. You have a media system, so developing mobile first and using this stuff. And that's quite nice. It's working out of the box inside your view templates, your single file components, but also inside Markdown. So left time. So I've also, there's something for you. So you see some more highlighters. So there's support for cap CDS, ABAP CDS, Ramos CSV files or semicolon, the files so far, and also for the REST client if you need something here on top of this. And finally, also the stuff for the plant OML. So you can just define your diagrams here the text-based way. If you see what's also everything is possible on the plant side, you can just place here your text for this stuff, and then finally it will render automatically the corresponding diagram for you. So what's more important is here from our side, there is a hidden feature, especially for the UI5ers community. If you go on the button side, on the footer, there will be on top.
By hovering on that, or how did it?
By hovering on top of it, there's a little bit so-called pie. And so I added something for the community so that you get also a nice entry point of this. So in this case, I was adding a little bit stuff for getting more data like TripIn, and everyone knows this OData starting point, but now we are in the view world, and how should this be used here together with from our side? So we will see here relating to the person so far, directly in the UI5 components. You can search on this stuff, or you have also this read more functionality. And if you have a look into the sources here from TripIn, you see the outer shape, and here's the usage of a TripIn component. So let's go into the TripIn component. It's in the VitePress folder, there are components, and we will see that there is the folder so far for these things. And here you can see we can just directly use this UI5 controls. We can still use this Tailwind style directive directly on top of it. So you see this stuff nicely. If it's small webs, in this case, if it's bigger enough, then you can have this stuff side by side. And then besides using the UI5 components, I was just adding here the model. So the TripIn stuff. Also, here's a nice blog from Andreas Kunz on top of this stuff here. It's generating the proxies for you. And the more important part is you can then use it quite nice from the side here. You have this stuff, you have this fetch data functionality. And with this TripIn, you have a nice API on top of it to build the filters. And then you have this service interface here for people doing this stuff. So for skip filtering, ordering stuff here. And then you get automatically this functionality, including paging and everything you need on top of an existing OData service. And this is something that is then rendered on the client side. So this is some case that you can do here, offering such functionality besides the regular REST stuff, because OData is a little bit maybe more problematic, but this way you can use it very easily, even with uClient. But there's even more. So if you are doing things like this is running on your client side, but in case for documentation, maybe you want to use more some server-side rendering things. And there's also an example for this. So you can switch over the same stuff. There's also a server-side related component. This is just a markdown file. it's just integrating here the TripIn data. And this can even, so that you have another way, there's a loaders, and in the loaders you can just use this default functionality from VitePress. So we have the service, and we have just then fetch, then the regular REST way, getting this data. And with this data, I just close this too early. And then just with this data, you have this data available, and then you can just inline use it here, the data value as people, and you can loop over this information. And then the nice stuff here is all this stuff is then directly rendered on server side. So at the end, you will just have a static HTML file with all this data. This data will be then, next step would be just, we need to trigger our build. And then we have to wait around about 10 seconds. And with the build, you will have this site here rendered into a site folder, and there we will have our guide. And then there would be the TripIn SSR site, and here you will find the data, so that this is just the plain HTML table with the data. And the nice stuff is now you can put it into a JIT. You have a version, and it's quite helpful if you put this data together with your systems around, from getting master data from a subsystem or whatever, so that you can place it as part of your documentation, but fetching this data dynamically, for example.
This data is really inline then, right, Holger?
Yeah, it's completely server-side rendered, so then the exported stuff does not take care on any JavaScript or whatever. So it's just plain static HTML files, but you can use it to render dynamically this data, and everything is handled under the hood from VitePress automatically. So next step is just telling, okay, we want to need to hurry up a little bit. We just need to deploy this stuff here. And then finally, everything is built. We're using the manifest and Cloud Foundry push this stuff to the cloud. And so it will take some seconds. In the meantime, I will switch over to my browser. Just some seconds. So it's starting the instances so far. And yeah, now it's done. So let's see. From the Tailwind side, here's Hello UI5ers. That was the stuff I changed so far in the template. So it was deployed on this side. So, and just one thing, we can see it here. So let's talk about what does it mean from a performance perspective. We have now generated here the static side. Okay, we get a nice benefit, but let's see what's the problem. To use color scheme so far from the contrast, this orange with white, it's not a good contrast so far. So if you want to just address this in the CSS file, you can optimize it a little bit from the ARIA side, and then you will get the full 100% on all of this bubble so far. And that's it. So let's have a look. You will just share this stuff here. If you want to get your hands dirty with this stuff, you would be then able to use it this way, and can use it for your own.
Cool, Holger.
If questions maybe, or you like it or use it, maybe leave a note on Twitter. But anyhow, from the other side, I think it's a nice helper, start point for data and all these topics. So you can just use it and have a working example.
Not only for that, also some guys are interested already in writing their own documentation with that. So the Excel export, for example, or Excel upload thingy from Marianne, I just had a quick chat while you were talking. So I think it's pretty interesting also from an inspiring way on what you can do with that. You have also the opportunity to play a little bit around with web components also in that, and do a little bit of active components inside. You have also the opportunity of playing around with server-side rendering thingies. Yeah, maybe also for web components to evolve in that direction. Our web components doing that. So that's maybe also something we can also think of. Yeah, and I definitely will take a look deeper into that.
Yeah. Even if you just want to have a first hand on using UI5 Web Components, everything is integrated so far. You can just start. You have this, and the server is everything doing for you. So even for this reason, you have everything is prepared. So just npm install, and you can just start.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you.
As I cannot see any additional questions, we can go to the next topic. And this means, please go ahead, Christian and Dominik.
So yeah, we want to talk to you quickly about some new advancements in SAP UI5 Flexibility. What we're doing today is basically a very much condensed form of the talk we gave at UI5Con in July. And yeah, so we got 15 minutes, but still we can't do without an introduction. So very quickly, what is Flex? SAP or SAP partners deliver standard software, but customers may have different ideas, wordings, workflows, and just various needs that can't be fulfilled simultaneously for all the customers. So what we are trying to do, so Flex, as you can see here, we provide a series of tools for 3 different personas. And what they have in common is they all try to enable adaptations to fulfill these various requirements. The 3 personas are the developer, who is able to create complex changes, for example, to create custom controller coding for the application or to introduce all new views. And these changes are just visible for everybody who is using the application. Then you have the key user as the second persona, which we'll be focusing on today. And the key user is generally a non-technical person, who has the business knowledge and who is using this UI adaptation to make simpler changes, like, for example, add, remove fields, rename stuff, add iframes, so you can embed third-party content into your application. And you can generally address only a subset of users if you want to, so you can be a bit more specific of who is affected by these changes. And then you have the end user, who is using the simplest toolings of all. So there is just when you're working with your application and you can change some filter settings for you in a filter bar, or you can personalize the table and it only affects yourself. So these 3 personas we're going to focus on the key user today. And yeah, Christian, you can take over.
Today, I'm not Christian from SAP. I'm Christian, the generic business user who's actually working with this nice application for managing products. But as every software, it is somehow fitting my use case, but not completely. And especially mine is also the use case of our company. So in general, we have to enable end users, or in this case, customers, to give them the power to help themselves. We developers can't actually fix everything for everyone, especially for all their customers. So I, as a key user, am entitled to do more to help ourselves. And with that, I can go into the option to adapt the UI. The adapt UI is based on my role. I can now enter the key user adaptation. In the key user adaptation, I see the application as is in the runtime, but it behaves different. Because first of all, you see a toolbar at the top where I can navigate around like I would normally do, click navigate, add filters and whatsoever. But the main focus on this is my UA adaptation, where I actually change the application. We today focus here on the versioning, because until now, especially on the ABAP stacks at S4, we were not able to, we do not offer the versioning. On cloud, you are maybe already familiar with it. So that means that I, as a key user, can make adaptation and at least can give it a name and also get a bit more overview what happened. And then I can also decide when actually to this being active for all end users. So like when I'm here and I know in our company, it is very mandatory to get the feedback of users first. So I actually have to start with the reviews, because when I see the product is not as good as it should be, I have to take actions. So I can easily just move the ratings up. And if I do this, you see at the top, I am now in the draft. Draft just means that I, as a key user, now have changed something. It's not what end users will see until I actually activate it. And here I can even now make further changes, like it's not review, but we call it feedback. Maybe I should, oopsie, sorry. I was too fast with my keyboard. I pressed the delete, which is not good. So feedback, it is called. So I have it renamed. I have here some kind of moving. I can also hide stuff I actually don't know at all, like we are only interested in the feedback, so I can remove also other stuff. And here we can do a lot of but as you see, without coding. If I now press the activate button, I can give it a name like feedback first. I confirm it, and with that, all end users will also see this adaptation. Beforehand, they saw the old one. Also, I can exit the adaptation at runtime at any time. If it's a draft, I can save the draft, or if it's not even already saved, and then I can come back, can have a bio break, can sleep over it, can get feedback, whatever I need. And then, yeah, I can activate it whenever I want. If I activate it, and we see here, we have now here a version history. This version history means that who has activated it when. This also, come to that in a second, is also true for publishing. And yeah, here we can not only see it, but especially when there was an update on the system, the application, new S4 release, whatever came to your mind, you see the application is not looking as it should be. You can always switch between different versions or even the original app without adaptation to double check, was it what I wanted or not? And go back. You can create new drafts and versions based on any version, also older ones. Think about it like a Git branching, but without the merge conflicts and stuff like that. If you go there, period. And lastly, you can also now these versions publish. So if I have multiple versions, and I have maybe the latest still in review, or I still await feedback or want to improve, I can also just check another version, an older version, say publish, and bring it into the world of the end users if the end users are not in this particular system. Activation, visible for all users in the system. Publishing means that it goes out to the productive test system, whatever setup you have. That's all about versions.
Is this both in Cloud Foundry and S4 persisted on the backend, or is it client specific?
It's backend. So in general, it's a backend service we have there. It's on ABAP, and it's also part in Cloud Foundry. In Cloud Foundry, the key user service is also commercialized. And the question about custom UI5 apps or standard UI5 apps, general UI5 offers this. Every application is capable of. You just have to follow one golden rule: follow our guidelines, especially give controls a stable ID, because then our changes will find the controls again. And also in the demo kit, you can play around. Every sample has the Adapt UI button, and you can play around, figure out what control can do what.
Okay, thank you.
All right, there are no more questions so far. Let me just go ahead. The other question I quickly want to touch on is the visualization. It's not exactly new, but we still run into colleagues from time to time, even in the general vicinity of SAP UI5, who are not aware of this feature, and it's fairly helpful actually if you're trying to investigate, if you have a customer incident, or even if you want to collaborate. So Christian just showed you the draft mechanism, which allows more than one key users to work together on a new version before actually it going live to end users. The visualization just gives you these little change indicators that you can see here. You can see, for example, that the supplier information was removed, and in this scenario, so the reviews was moved, and then we changed the name from reviews to feedback. So we have some very change type specific information. And yeah, you have a drop down where you can filter according to the change type if you're trying to locate a particular change, or you can also filter according to the state. So right now we don't have any change in the draft, but for example, let's say we make a few changes, for example, by moving the inventory information to the very front. Now we are back in a draft state, and you can see we can show just by selecting draft what exactly is going to change if the key user activates the new version. So what will be the exact change for an end user? Yeah, so this is really quickly just the visualization feature. And the other thing we really want to quickly show you is the context-based adaptation. Maybe you can see right here in this scenario, we have a new control, a new part of the RTA of the UI adaptation toolbar. And the idea generally behind the context-based adaptation is that if you want to differentiate the UI of your application for end users based on their roles, then until now you would have to create 2 different app variants, and you assign them to the FLP based on a user role. And then depending on whether you have role A or B, you have a different tile in the FLP, and you go to a different application technically. And this is cumbersome for a few reasons, because you need additional permissions, or maybe you need to reach out to somebody to take care of this for you. And the context-based adaptation is basically here to make it a bit more easy, to make it more flexible. And just as an example, so we moved the inventory information up front, and Christian already removed the supplier information. So let's just say this is fine. If you are a salesperson, then you're interested in what you have in stock, and you're not exactly interested in the supplier because you're not on the buyer side, for example. So we just call this the sales adaptation. And for the selected roles, just hope it opens. Yeah. Not sure what's going on here. Maybe I have a timeout. Hopefully not. Let me just reload really quick. Okay, so I can just quickly describe what would have happened. So clicking the add roles, I would have had a list of roles in the system, and I can just select a particular sales role, and I have a new adaptation in the system. And from then, if you open this very application, depending on whether or not you have this role, you will see version A of the UI or version B. And you can do this for multiple roles, and you have a priority list. So let's say there is an adaptation for sales and one for managers. So what happens if you have both of these roles? This you can define as a key user, basically saying, hey, if you have either role, then you would see this version or this version. So you can have a very fine-grained approach of what exactly your users will see based on. So yeah, this is basically the context-based adaptation. For now, it's available in the BTP ABAP edition. And yeah, so just to make sure it's not a security mechanism. So if you actually do hide parts of the application from users with a certain role, this hiding happens in the front end. So it's not like the backend will just keep these values and you'll never get to see them. So if you check the network tab, it's all there. So it's not a security feature.
We got the info that the system is online again.
It is? Yes, thanks. Okay, so how much more time do we have? So I can just show you in like 10 seconds. Okay, save as new adaptations. We have the sales adaptation, and then I have the role. Let's say we have the internal sales rep. So, okay, now we have a new adaptation. If I activate it, then what you see now, if I actually exit it, is I don't see these particular changes since I don't have the sales role in this example, but everybody who has the role will have the new view. Maybe last but not least, we recently introduced this feedback form by Qualtrics into UI adaptation. So if you happen to be using it and you have any sort of feedback that you want to give us, some suggestions or whatnot, you can just paste it all in there, try to provide a complete report or idea of what you want to have, and it reaches us directly, and we will look into everything we receive. So yeah, feel free to use it, and just whatever you have, just tell us.
Yeah, today we actually focus on the key user, what's new, what in the general overview, personalization. I guess everyone hopefully knows how a table is adjusted and stuff like that. Also, smart links and stuff is a thing, but otherwise filters, then you're good to go. The developer is a beast on its own, and therefore Risto will come back here, hopefully, into the UI5 is live. And then he will show you, first of all, the long-awaited availability of the adaptation project in Visual Studio Code, which comes this winter. Secondly, the changing the manifest will become easier, or making allowed changes on the manifest will become easier. And also the S/4HANA Cloud availability will come for the adaptation projects in the next year. So this all will be a dedicated session from Risto, as well as Angelika is will show you a bit more details about the context-based adaptation, because that is also a thing which will come up. Yeah, with that, I guess there's one thing coming up. Give me a second in the chat. So in general, there was a question because there's a Fiori Elements application with an object page where you can just cut but not hide specific parts in the header within the headers. And that's because in flexibility, you as a developer can also some kind of restrict the actions you're allowed. Like if you think everything is mandatory, at least on the object page section level, you could also disable for these controls the hide action. And most likely this is what happens in this specific application.
Maybe to chime in, so it's generally not possible to remove the last element of an aggregation unless the control developer explicitly allows it in the design time. So maybe what's happening here is that you have a dynamic header, which means a flexbox is rendered around all these header elements. And if you try to remove the flexbox or the dynamic header, then it would tell you you can't remove it because it's the last element within the header content actually. So maybe you're able to remove individual elements from within this flexbox, or it's a different problem. But if you want, just please reach out and we can have a look at it together.
As I was cutting this week last week, the recording of our last UI5ers live session, there was actually a flex question there, and Benedict actually answered it, but he wasn't quite sure and referred to you guys. So I was wondering if you can confirm what he said. Like there was a question, he showed like that there is personalization with flexibility available with MDC. And the question, as far as I remember, was if this is also available for S/4HANA in cloud.
Generally, yes.
Generally, backend-wise, except these huge features like versioning and stuff like that, is always coming out of the box, depending on the controls, because we from flexibility just offer the backends to store the data, as well as the I would say framework within the framework to register how changes are made, getting them, applying them. But how a control is changed itself is completely up to the control. Meaning if you are in the stacks which are supported, S/4HANA, BTP, Neo, all that stuff, you are good to go. And then as soon as the control is enabled, in 99%, it's fine.
Perfect closing words, I would say. And with this then, we are at the end of today's session. The next one will be on November 9th, so in the regular schedule. And yeah, Peter, maybe you want to tell them who you invited for the next UI5ers Live.
Yeah, for the next UI5, I invited Peter Janssen into the round because we had some quite challenging hard nuts to solve regarding the usage of the UI5 CF destination middleware when it comes to authentication topics. And Peter wants to present us his problem story and how we solved it. Also, Holger was in touch with that, yeah, on one or the other side, because it touched him as well. And I think we came up with a quite nice round off of this middleware to make it really usable in many, many scenarios now. And this is what we're going to show then at this time.
And in addition, we will have Daniel Nanowski from the Smart Controls team, and he will showcase give some insights how you can provide like not so cryptical IDs with the smart controls. So I hope you are interested in these topics, and we will see you then in November again. For today, I say goodbye.
Bye bye. Ciao.
Yeah.